McQuestion, for over 28 years talking about things that matter with people who care. Production of McQuestion is made possible in part by individual viewers, supporters of the Foundation for Responsible Television, the Hatton W. Sumners Foundation, helping to educate the public about the fundamental principles of their democracy and thus be in a position to help formulate public policy. Moss Adams LLP, certified public accountants and consultants, providing industry-smart tax, assurance, and consulting solutions to help businesses and their owners succeed since 1913. The University of Texas at Dallas, creating the future.
Positive psychology is a subject we discussed on a prior program, but chances are you may not be totally familiar with the concept. I know that you're familiar with happiness, whether you happen to be happy or not. So, on this program, we're going to not only tell you about positive psychology, we're going to show you how to achieve it and how others are using it to make significant differences in people's lives. So let's meet the experts, starting here in the studio. On my left is Deborah Heiss. She is CEO, co-founder, and editorial director of Live Happy, or Live Happy. And I like Live Happy because that's what you want to call it, but I think Live Happy has something to say for it too, don't you? And she's also on the executive board, however, the International Positive Education Network. So Deborah, welcome back from Dubai, which is where you were earlier this week.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. And sitting next to you is Michelle Kinder. She's executive director of the Momentous Institute, which is owned and operated by the Salesmanship Club of Dallas, and they're dedicated to developing social, emotional health for all children so they can achieve their full potential. You do great work out there, Michelle.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for being
Glad
here.
to be here.
And joining us via Skype is Megan McDonough. She's the co-founder of Whole Being Institute, an educational organization focusing on the science of whole person well-being. She's been in health and well-being for over 2 decades with a degree in nuclear medicine and extensive experiences in positive psychology and the mind-body field. As CEO, she leads by harnessing the best people in the world for the greatest good, and so creating an organization for positive social change. She's an award-winning author of 4 books on mindfulness and well-being. Megan, can you hear me?
I can, Dennis. Good to be here.
Okay, great. So what I want you to tell us at this point is, what in the world is the Whole Being Institute? And then how do you define happiness?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I love your show, talking about things that matter. I can't think of a more important thing to talk about than how to live a well-lived life. I mean, whether you're 8 or 80, right? Don't we all want to live fully, completely, to really feel like we made the most out of this human life? And so the Whole Being Institute is actually an educational organization that teaches that. There are skills to be had when it comes to learning how to live well. I mean, we're not taught it like mathematics or English, although I think we should. And actually, Deborah's doing some great work with IPEN on that to make sure the kids of today are learning that. But most of us haven't been taught, how do we live a well-lived life? What is it we need to do? What actions do we need to take? And more importantly, how do we structure our thought patterns so that we bring the most out of ourselves? So Whole Being Institute teaches that. When we think about happiness, most of us think of happiness as a feeling, this sense of a pleasant feeling. But happiness in its deeper sense has a more nuanced perspective. It also includes things like, how do we have satisfaction with life? How do we engage our strengths? And then thirdly, happiness is not just an emotion. It's not just satisfaction with life. It's also meaning. Can we find meaning in everyday life? Not the big M meaning of our existential angst of why are we on this earth, but the little m, things like sharing with the family, being with people we love, really finding in everyday life meaning and purpose in this life. So that's how I define happiness, and that's what we do at Whole Being Institute.
Okay, great. Stay with us for a few minutes. I'm going to ask you to talk about SPIRE in a bit, but before that, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, Deborah, to tell us, she mentioned IPEN, so tell us what IPEN is and how you sort of relate to that organization.
Well, IPEN is the International Positive Education Network, and what it is a group of people that are interested in introducing positive education into schools on a global basis. So some of these people are researchers, some of them are teachers, educators, some of them are policymakers, but they're a group of people who have really join together to change the way we teach children by introducing character strengths, ethics, and really well-being into the educational systems. And how I relate to that is we got together for the first time 4 years ago in New York and had a meeting and started putting the group together, and we have a large advisory board, and I was privileged to be among some of the greats of positive psychology like Martin Seligman and Angela Duckworth are on our advisory board, and I am enjoying playing a piece in that movement because my specialty is not positive psychology as a psychologist, but really sharing the message, you know, getting it out there for more people to learn about it.
Yeah. And Michelle, I have had the opportunity to visit your wonderful place called Momentous Institute. So tell us a little bit more about it and then how you're putting these concepts into place in your curriculum.
Absolutely. We're a 98-year-old organization, and we focus on mental health, education, and then research and training, and how all of those disciplines intersect. We're big believers that you don't solve problems, especially ones that seem intractable, in one discipline. And so we want to take the concepts from the mental health field and positive psychology and infuse them into education, which we do at our lab school, which is designed to show that if children who have the risk factor of poverty have an extraordinary start where social emotional health is as prioritized as academics, they'll launch and do terrific long term, and our research proves that up.
Well, that's good. And I must tell you that while we can't take everyone over there right now, we can show them a brief video clip. So let's run video clip 3 whenever you're ready.
It's in our marrow here to focus as much on children's emotional well-being as their academic well-being.
85% of our kids are growing up in poverty and all that comes with that. So lots of great initiatives out there in education attend to social emotional health, but many of them miss the fact that poverty and toxic stress have kids in fight, flight, or freeze mode all day long.
Young children bring their whole beings to the classroom. They want to talk about how they're feeling and what happened at home. As much as I tried to go through my task of it's time for reading now, didn't matter.
They first have to feel safe, get regulated.
Once you get through that and they feel heard and they feel felt, then you can move on to the academics.
We start our mornings with a morning meeting, and we do our core breathing practices to really help the kids get focused. We know that socio-emotional health is very important for kids. We've done some of that work here. What we found from that research was this link between empathy and academic performance.
And especially for kids who are growing up in tough circumstances, they have to feel connected.
Now, Michelle, social emotional health sounds like a big 3 words.